Hey, shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom, shalom. You know, you should always thank the Most High or consider what the Most High has given you, man. I was thinking about that earlier today. Well, somewhat thinking about it. You know, earlier today I did some grocery shopping, and you know, there's people out in the world who can't even do grocery shopping or have a car to put the groceries in or a key to open a door to bring your groceries in the home and put them in the refrigerator. You see, like little things like this we take for granted. Having a refrigerator. You have people who don't have a refrigerator. Something as simple as that we take for granted. And the homeless situation is out of control in New York City as well as California. And the other states are catching up, man. I did a video a couple of days ago, and I mentioned that 62% of Americans, so-called Americans, they live paycheck to paycheck, 62%, and it's going to grow. I also mentioned that they're trying to get rid of the middle class. Soon this will be one class of people sleeping on subway trains, and then the super rich. These things I mentioned. You really need to evaluate what you have. Which brings me to my point. How do you know, or how do you determine who you give a helping hand to? In other words, how do you make your decisions on who you give money to or buy food for? I've come to the conclusion that it's up to your own discretion. The scriptures say one thing, and you know, in regards of helping the less fortunate, but also the Most High says in one chapter, give nothing to the wicked. So everybody you give to, are they righteous? It can be very confusing, but at the same time, I personally believe that you should give to your brothers and sisters who are less fortunate, but you should use discretion and weigh out the spirit of that individual before you give. Give nothing to the wicked. That's what the scriptures say, right? Give nothing to the wicked. Then the Most High says he hates a beggar. You see where this is back and forth and up and down? This is why I say use proper discretion. Use proper discretion as far as what you're doing. Anybody can be in a bad situation. It's very sad to see a brother who was once in the faith homeless or just down and out. It's very, very sad, man. Again, I mean, I look at this PC, and I acknowledge the Most High gave me this PC. I didn't get it on my own. The Most High gave it to me. And then I look to my left, and I have couches to sit on. I got a big screen TV. The Most High has shown me, and I hope he's shown you, brothers and sisters, to be grateful for what you have. Something as simple as a toilet in a room, a toilet. You have a toilet in a room, a bathroom with a sink to relieve yourself and to cleanse yourself. Homeless people, they have to use the bathroom in the Wendy's or perhaps a Port Authority or Penn Station. That's what homeless people have to deal with. Homeless people don't have cell phones, the majority of them. You have a cell phone. You have a cell phone. You have a nightstand. You have a bed, a clean bed at that. A clean one at that. But anyway, the Most High tells you, he's very clear in Ecclesiasticus, in the Apocrypha, the 40th chapter, and the 28th verse says, gold and silver make the foot stand sure. See that? So don't let anyone tell you you're not supposed to have money. It's just that the temptations that come with money, that's where the problem is at. Gold and silver maketh the foot to stand sure, but counsel is esteemed above them both. See? So spiritual counsel or wisdom is above gold and silver. Read Proverbs 16, verse 16. It says, riches and strength lifted up the heart, but the fear of the Lord is above them both. There is no want in the fear of the Lord, and it needeth not to seek help. The fear of the Lord is a fruitful garden. There's always something to benefit, or there's always a positive reaction in fearing the Most High. Maybe this is why a lot of people are homeless, because they didn't fear the Most High. Maybe a lot of people who are homeless still don't fear the Most High. Should we give to the homeless? Should we give to the poor? Should we give to the less fortunate who are outside of the Most High? The Most High says, give nothing to the wicked. He says that in Scripture. How do we determine who's wicked and who's not wicked? Which is a no-brainer. But regardless, if someone is wicked, should we give? The fear of the Lord is a fruitful garden, and covereth him above all glory. 28th verse says, my son, lead not a beggar's life. See that? So you see beggars in Times Square. You see beggars in Newark. You see beggars on Market Street, whether it's Newark or Philadelphia. You got plenty of beggars in California. It's an epidemic of beggars in California. Yet from a spiritual aspect and a spiritual understanding, the Lord said, my son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die. For better it is to die than beg. You see that? You see that? It's better to die, the Most High said, than beg. So there's got to be something terrible in the eyes of the Most High as far as begging. The life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. No man should depend on another man's pockets. No sister is to depend on another sister's pockets. In other words, no brother should be out, without resources or funds to maintain and take care of himself as well as his family. The life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. What's on the table? Food. Food. Then the Most High says, for he polluteth himself with other men's meat. See that? So the beggar who's dependent on another man's table, the Lord said, for he polluteth himself, meaning he defiles himself with other men's meat. But he says, but a wise man well nurtured, will beware thereof, meaning he's well studied, he's in the Most High, he fears the Most High, like we read a little while ago. That's the wise man. The wise man fears the Most High. He doesn't go against the Most High's wisdom. He doesn't go against the Most High's prophets and servants and what's written in the Holy Scriptures. But a wise man well nurtured will beware thereof. Begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless, but in his belly there shall burn a fire. In other words, take some pride. And if you lack pride, you are shameless. A shameless person will beg. The Lord said he hateth a beggar. So a person in this mind state or spirit, do we give or do we not give? I think it's up to your own discretion. That's what I personally believe. That's what I personally believe. If the Lord hates a beggar, and he says not to lead a beggar's life, and it's better to die than to beg. What say ye in the matter? What say ye? Very confusing. But if you're spiritual, it's not that confusing at all if you're spiritual. Not. I want to show you something real quick. Because this is an epidemic now at this point.
Subway. Some in desperate need of medical care or social services. Others might stick to the streets, like Tyrone Brady. He sleeps downtown on Fulton Street most nights.
This is my sleeping bag.
His belongings are piled into one cart.
And I got blankets.
Could you imagine?
He's been homeless off and on for 15 years.
We need help. And you see more seniors out here. It got worse. I never seen this in my life.
Brady is diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder.
A lot of the homeless have mental illnesses and were once housed in facilities in New York or California, mental hospitals. And because the state and the country doesn't want to take care of the mentally ill, they are pushed out into the streets. This man has been living in the streets off and on for 15 years. 15 years. And he said it's getting worse. In certain cases, you got whole families out on the streets. I once had to situate this brother who was homeless. And he didn't want to go to the shelter. He said it's dangerous in the shelter. A lot of homeless people will tell you straight up it's very, very dangerous in the shelters. They don't want to go to the shelters. Serious issue. But look how this man lives. This could easily be me or you if the Most High is not with me or you. Easily could be one of us. But the Most High, he's with us, man. We take for granted that this could be one of us, man. We really take this for granted. Most High is very clear in this verse, man. Very clear. But here's a man who begs. I'm sure he begs. He's in a bad situation. And times are hard. Times are very difficult and times are very hard. But again, this could easily be any one of us. Look at this. The Most High tells you right here. He rises up the poor, this is the Most High, out of the dust and lifted up the beggar. See, there's that word again, that beggar. But the Lord said he hates a beggar. But here it says he rises up the poor out of the dust and lifted up the beggar from the dunghill. to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he has set the world upon them. See, the Most High can make a beggar like a prince, or he can make a prince into a beggar if you go against the Most High. Are these wicked men who have went against the Most High? Are these wicked men who don't acknowledge Yahushua, who the world calls Christ? Are these wicked men who refuse to keep the commandments of the Most High? Should we close our hearts and look the other way when it comes to the beggar? Or should we hate the beggar like the Most High hates the beggar? You tell me. You tell me. Not hard to figure out. But then in certain cases, some brothers might wrestle with it. Some brothers might become holier than thou. The Lord hates a beggar. The Lord hates a beggar. Right there. Right there, man. My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg. See? The life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. A beggar's life is not a real life, the Lord is saying. A beggar life is not the life of a real man or woman. Women, you got a lot of homeless women now too. The women, you got plenty of women begging. Plenty, especially in Newark, New Jersey. Especially in Newark, New Jersey. Oh yeah. Especially. So what do? You pray you don't end up in a situation like that. Pray you don't end up in a situation like that, man. That's horrible. It'll be, oh man, it's tough out there, man. Not easy at all out there. Check it out. It's a good one too. I read this sometime when I start the day, because I'm bombarded by homeless people. Can I give to all of them? No, you can't give to all these homeless people. And like the homeless brother said, it's getting worse. Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, 4th chapter, 1st verse says, "My son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes to wait long." So at this point, you just think this could be just an upright brother or sister who's just dealing with hard times, and the Most High saying to help him out. But let's read on. It says, "Make not a hungry soul sorrowful, neither provoke a man in his distress," which I agree, which I know a lot of you brothers and sisters who are in the spirit of the Lord, you agree. Then the 3rd verse says, "Add not more trouble to an heart that is vexed, and defer not to give to him that is in need." See, so the beggar, he's in need, but perhaps this need is different from a beggar's need. Perhaps a beggar is a con artist. Perhaps a beggar is someone who's not putting in any effort into serving the Lord and getting himself right. Whereas in this 3rd verse, this example is a brother who has just fallen down on hard times, which is a sister who has just hit hard times. Add not more trouble, which is someone in a difficult moment, dealing with hard times. But the Lord is telling us not to add more trouble to a heart that is vexed, meaning angry, and defer not to give to him that is in need, meaning don't refrain or hold back to give to him that is in need. 4th verse says, "Reject not the supplication of the afflicted." neither turn away thy face from a poor man. See, so a poor man is different from a beggar. A poor man differs from a beggar. Reject not the supplications of the afflicted, neither turn away thy face from the poor man. Turn not thy eye, 5th verse, turn not thy eye from the needy, and give him none occasion to curse thee. So you're not supposed to, laugh at the homeless. You're not supposed to make them feel any spirit of shame or anguish. In other words, you're not supposed to come at the needy and the hungry and the less fortunate. You're not supposed to come at them in a wicked, negative way, the Lord is showing us. Turn not away thy eye from the needy, the Most High says, and give him none occasion to curse thee. For if he curse thee in the bitterness of his soul, see that? Why is he in the bitterness of his soul? He's homeless. He don't have food. He's in a bad situation, so he has a vexed, bitter spirit. So the Lord said, for if he curse thee in the bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him. Who made him? The Most High. Read Psalms 100, verse 1 through 3. For if he curse thee in bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him. See that? Very clear. Very clear. So it's not really confusing at all. The beggar just choose to live a beggar's life. And I'm going to say the majority of the people who are homeless and who are begging, they choose to live a beggar's life. Whereas in this chapter, this is a brother or sister or family or person who has fallen on hard times. So I would be more inclined to give to a brother or sister like this. But how can you determine if a person is in this type of situation versus the beggar's lifestyle? You see what I'm saying? Here's a difference. How do you determine? This is why I said it's, in my opinion, is based on your own discretion and how the Spirit moves you. Or to what level, I should say, to what level the Spirit moves you. I should say it like that. Because, this is very clear. But it can be very confusing considering what is on the streets today. And it's only getting worse. Only getting worse. This is very clear. In the 28th verse says, my son, lead not a beggar's life. See, this is different from what we read in the 4th chapter of Ecclesiasticus. My son, lead not a beggar's life. This is a person who has a beggar's lifestyle. This is a person who has most likely rejected the Most High and has chosen to live a beggar's life. You've seen them, career beggars. You got people who beg to the level where their breakfast and lunch and dinner is ready for them. Meaning they see the same people on the way to work. So they're going to get breakfast. See the same people on their lunch break. So they're going to get lunch. And see the same people, working people, on their way home. So they're going to get dinner. My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg. For better it is to die than to beg. That's different in comparison to just someone who is down and out and the Spirit just have them in a real bad position. The 30th verse says, begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless. See, so this person has no shame. And begging is sweet, meaning agreeable with the beggar, comfortable with the beggar, and a part of the beggar's lifestyle. Begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless. No shame. See, there's a difference. Who do you give to? I think you know at this point. I think you know who to give to. But to a new person coming into faith, this could be very, very confusing. Could be very confusing. Very confusing. But, you know, with the wisdom of the Most High, to the wise, it's not confusing at all.
Well, okay. I can think better. When I'm on psych bed, I can't think. I gotta worry about people sticking you up while you sleeping. They walk and hit you in the head with a pipe.
The streets are dangerous, he says, but he has nowhere to go.
I lost my mother, I lost my father, I lost my brother. I'm the only one left.
He is one of many New Yorkers who have languished on the streets or subways for years, in a crisis that only seems to be getting more severe.
Hear that?
New York One has spent weeks interviewing experts, policymakers, and those sleeping on the streets and trains, scouring a system where people easily fall through the cracks, where men and women shuttle between the streets and area hospitals, failing to find stability in a clear mental health crisis. In some cases, it has dire consequences. Twice this year, in 2 separate incidents, homeless men allegedly murdered 2 women. One of those men has a history of mental illness.
See, they just letting these guys on the streets like it's nothing, because Babylon is falling, man. Babylon the Great is falling, and it's falling like a rock in the ocean, man.
The new mayor says he will take on the problem, heading outreach teams and cracking down on New Yorkers who violate MTA rules, like lying down and sleeping, or smoking and drug use.
The train ends at the end of the line. Someone is on there with shopping carts, clothing, bags, sleeping, unkept.
That's New York, man. That's New York. That's New York. You can't get around that. But listen, man. It's just on my mind. Know to who you give, man. Just know who you giving to. Very serious. I couldn't get home one day, and I slept on the train in New York a few times, man. It's no damn joke. It's the most uncomfortable ride you could imagine, man. Because you got to sleep. You got to partially sleep with one eye open because, New York turns into a whole different place at 3 a.m. on the subway. Those of you who are experienced with riding the train 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. A whole different demon is on the train at that time in the morning. I'm telling you. So you gotta be very careful. And it's like this everywhere. I'm not just saying it's like that in New York. It's everywhere now, man. It's everywhere. So you have to be very mindful of what your surroundings and what's happening, today, because anything could happen, man. Anything could happen. It's just through the Most High's grace and mercy that, we're surviving. Most High looks out. Check this out before you get out of here. To give you more clarification. Most High says in the book of Tobit 4 verse 16, it says, give of thy bread to the hungry, to the hungry, but not to the beggar. See, this is the hungry and the beggar, they're both the same in their stomach. A hungry man is a hungry man, and a hungry beggar is a hungry beggar. But the key thing is, one is a professional beggar who has turned away from the Most High and lives a beggar's lifestyle. You've seen them, professional homeless beggars. Most High says, give of thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked. See that? And according to thine abundance, meaning what you have. You don't give above what you have, or you'll end up homeless. and according to thy abundance give alms. And let not thy eye be envious when thou givest, meaning give with a good heart. That's what the Most High is saying. Give with a good heart. Then the Most High told you in the 17th verse, pour out thy bread on the burial of the just, but give nothing to the wicked. See? Give nothing to the wicked. Give nothing to the wicked. And sometimes you may feel guilty because you're now in this truth and now you're serving the Most High, and you come out the store, you come out the restaurant, and you hear, hey, brother, excuse me, sir, I don't want to bother you. And you know it's going to follow up behind that. You know what's coming behind that. Some of these dudes are professional beggars. You know how I know they're professional beggars? And so I just walk away sometimes, because any homeless person, if you just stand in front of a chicken shack is a fast food joint where it is have chicken, fries, burgers, milkshakes. Dudes are going to give you food. They're going to give you food, but the professional beggar wants money to get high. The professional beggar wants money to buy alcohol. Because if you was really hungry, you going to eat. You're going to eat. But a lot of them just want the money. They want change, or what they call spare change, because they want to get high. The Lord said, pour out thy bread on the burial of the just, but give nothing to the wicked. Give nothing to the wicked. The Most High is very clear there. There's a difference between the down and out and the hungry and the beggar who's a professional con man who's hungry as well. The down and out that's hungry, he needs money. The beggar, he needs money. Who are you going to give your money to? I'm out.